Now, this one is a really interesting one. Yet again, another airliner crash or airplane crash. We had a couple of them this week. This is the worst one, which I'm sure you guys followed, but this is really, really sad one. Fiery Air India crash kills 241 people aboard, leaving one survivor, the airline says. Yeah, the one survivor. That was an amazing story. So if you guys didn't know about this, this is really a sad one, but there's several different angles. You can see the plane attempting liftoff, and then it just goes down. And we'll look at something here in just a minute that will show you a little bit of that. Ahmedabad, India, an Air India plane bound for London crashed in a residential area of Ahmedabad shortly after takeoff on Thursday, killing 241 people on board. One passenger who was thrown from the plane survived. I'm not sure if he was thrown or if he jumped. There seems to be a conflicting report here. Anyway, yeah. This article doesn't have a ton of information. There's a few pictures, and it does show the map where the plane hit. And then this article, though, I thought was really more of the interesting part of this story, as far as, how this guy survived. And note what seat he was sitting in. 11. Miracle escape of seat 11A as British survivor is seen walking away from the Air India crash on local TV after police said they feared all 244 on board had died. And I think it hit a building, so it killed a bunch of people in the building as well. So I'm pretty sure this death toll has gone up even further. But this is the guy right here. Astonishing footage showed the man walking away from the scene with some visible injuries, mostly to his face. So there he is here. So he is, he's got an Islamic name, but he is apparently a UK citizen. So I'm not sure if he was, an illegal going over there or what exactly. Vishwash Kumar Ramesh, 40 years old, was the guy's name. Yeah, he's a UK citizen. So here he is walking away from it. Either he jumped out or he was thrown out of the plane. Not sure which. You can see the ball of flame here as the plane's going down. So this is where he was sitting, row 11, which was right by the emergency exit right here. So he was either pulled out or he jumped out, not sure which. And his brother was right next to him. His brother did not make it. No one else did. So it's truly a miracle type of story that the guy survived. I'm not sure how far he was thrown or fell. It may say that in this article, but anyway, this is a Daily Mail piece I thought was really interesting. And this is the video that I wanted to show you guys. Yeah, 11A equals 111, Emily says. Yeah, that's right. 1111. Anyways, yeah, let's look at this one. This is a kind of a short little, perhaps, explanation of what happened. This guy is his explanation, I think, is very legit. If you go look at the comments, there are some people that don't buy it, but I think it does help explain possibly what happened. The only thing I would say about this is that I did see a video after this crash happened of someone else inside of the plane who videoed it on the day before. When that plane was still okay, they were on that exact plane on a flight the day before, and they were showing how nothing worked inside of the plane. It had all these power issues. So like there's a big, the big screen in, behind each seat, and none of the screens were working. I mean, they were on, but they were touching the screens and they weren't active. They weren't doing anything. And several other electronic type of components just in the main fuselage of the plane were not working. So it'd be interesting to approach it from that standpoint. Perhaps they lost power somehow, which I think is possibly an explanation to what happened. But that is not really this guy's theory. So this guy, I think, is worth a watch. So let's check this out. It's a fairly short clip.
Right there is the point where the pilot fly would normally bring the airplane up to about 12 degrees nose up. The gear should be almost completely up into the airplane. At this point, it hasn't budged an inch. You're going to see on a 787, the ends of the wings start to bend a little bit. They usually bend a lot more than this airplane. Why? Because as the airplane's picking up speed and it's picking up lift over those wings, those composite wings really bend. That is an indication, a visual indication, they're really getting a lot of lift. This 787 is not getting a lot of lift right now, but nothing's going on with the engines as far as I can see. Now, let me continue with this. At this point, watch the nose. It starts to go over right there. It starts to come back over. Why is it doing that? Here's what I think happened. And again, folks, this is just my opinion. This is a theory, one theory among many. Any of the others I could have shared with you up to this point could be absolutely right. But why do I think this one is more likely than the other two? Here's why. I think the pilot flying said to the co-pilot, gear up at the appropriate time. I think the co-pilot grabbed the flap handle and raised the flaps instead of the gear. If that happened, and this is a big if that happened, this explains a lot of why this airplane stopped flying, why the lift over the wings died. Because at that point now, the flaps are retracting, all that extra lift you're producing in the wings goes away. You're already slow, you already got the power pushed up all the way. This airplane's as heavy as it's ever going to be in this flight, and you still got those great big landing gear out there producing all sorts of drag. This is a bad combination at this point. You see the nose now start to come over. Now, why would the nose come over? Because the airplane is trying to create as much lift as it can over those wings. And if the flaps are coming up, it's going to nose over to get even more airflow over those wings. That's going to be a very, very uncomfortable feeling for the pilot at the controls. Why? Because he's losing airspeed and he's going to begin to lose altitude now. Remember, he thinks the gear has come up. He might not know that the flaps came up. He just sees a motion over next to him, and he's looking outside going, wait, what's going on? It's all very confusing, and it all happens in a split second. Let's watch. The airplane starts to settle in. It starts to now descend. You see the pilot start to pull the nose up a little bit more, okay? As he's getting closer to the ground, he's probably got the power pushed up all he can, and now I think he's going to get into a power on stall. Not enough lift is being produced by those wings. All that drag is being produced by the landing gear that's still out there. Could anything have saved the day at this point? Maybe if they'd raised the gear. Maybe if they'd raised the gear and put the flaps back out, but it's very unlikely that once this gets to this point that they can recover from it. And now watch what happens. The airplane begins to kind of wallow, right? The pilot pulls back even more on the nose. That aggravates the whole thing, and now you get this waddle into the ground, and it's in a controlled power on stall until it impacts the ground.
There you go. All right. Well, I thought that was a pretty good explanation. Who knows exactly what's true? There's some people here saying, having a hard time believing the co-pilot retracted the flaps on accident instead of the landing gear, showing where those controls are in the cockpit. Landing gear here, flaps down here. And there seem to be several people that are sort of agreeing with that idea. So anyway, I don't know. But hopefully some investigation will actually find out what happened. But of course it hit a building and killed a bunch of people in the building as well as almost everybody on the plane. So, wow. And then yet another airplane mishap. Luckily, no one was hurt in this one. No injuries after JetBlue plane rolls onto the grass at Boston's Logan Airport after landing. The runway was closed as JetBlue Flight 312 was assessed, and its passengers were deplaned by stairs and bused to the terminal. So it ended up on the grass. So it just seems to be airplane incident after airplane incident. Anyway, that one was the other one that I found that happened just in the last few days. This was on the 12th, so 3 days ago. So yeah, pretty wild.